trailblazing black wrestlers of his era and of his time, and he paved the way for black wrestling superstars today. I'm talking about the one and only BoBo Brazil. I'm Todd Tanner. This is Black Wrestling News. According to Wikipedia, let's talk about him. The man known as BoBo Brazil, Houston Harris, who was born on July 10th, 1924, and passed away January 20th, 1998. He was an African American professional wrestler, better known by his ring name BoBo Brazil, credited with breaking down barriers of racial segregation. Credited with breaking down barriers of racial segregation in professional wrestling. Harris is considered one of the first successful African American professional wrestlers. So let me pull up BoBo Brazil in his prime. It's a photo of the brother. See if I can find some colorized version. So let's talk about BoBo Brazil. Let's get a story out here tonight, or this morning rather. Houston Harris was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, but later lived in East St. Louis, Illinois, and Benton Harbor, Michigan. His father died when he was 7 years old, which resulted in him doing odd jobs, such as working on a local fruit farm for 50 cents a container. He played baseball in the Negro Leagues for the House of David, where he was discovered to become a wrestler at a steel mill. His early professional wrestling career, Harris was trained by Joe Savoldi. After meeting him at matches at the Navy Armory, Savoldi originally named Harris BoBo Brazil, the South African giant, where he wrestled using a sequined satin cape stitched together by his wife, but a promoter misprinted his first name as BoBo in an advertisement, and the name stuck with Harris throughout the entirety of his career. During the time, segregation in the South normally limited African American wrestlers to only wrestling other African American wrestlers. Harris proved so popular that promoters put aside their prejudices in order to make money. Making that money will make a man act funny. Ain't that something? They push their prejudice aside. Forget racism, forget bigotry, forget segregation. The only color we see is green. Put BoBo out there in that ring. You know why? Because it drew black people and black dollars. Make no mistake about it. The black dollar is still powerful. Brazil's first recorded match was on March 29, 1948 in Benton Harbor, wrestling as Houston Harris, the Black Panther, against Armand Myers to a 30-minute draw. Harris was taught by Joe Savoldi to be an honest athlete in the ring and never to take shortcuts on anybody to win a match. He was instilled to be a crowd's friend right to the end. Finding success in Detroit, which was an urban center or black, and this is interesting, Brazil developed a fan base among both the black and white populace with his modesty and stylish dress and professionalism, making him a big draw and an appealing babyface to both races of fans. Although loved by fans, it didn't stop Brazil from dealing with bigotry and discrimination during that time. In the era when Harris ascended to stardom, African American fans were forced to sit in arenas that made it hard to see BoBo's matches. Even Harris himself was banned from going to restaurants, hotels, and even wrestling in certain territories due to the color of his skin. In the early 50s, he also performed in Japan. You know, oftentimes people don't like these types of stories, but it's a fact. As much as the Trumpians and the MAGAs and the haters try to pretend that racism and bigotry and segregation and all that stuff didn't exist, well, it did. And it still exists today. We're not going to walk around with blinders on our eyes and pretending that it didn't happen. Harris, aka BoBo Brazil, he paid a price for being one of the first black wrestling superstars. The name of this show is called Black Wrestling News. All the other shows, they talk about black people, black wrestlers every now and then. See me, I talk about everybody, but I am going to talk about my own. Never forget that. No apologies. Brazil would have many matches with competitors such as Killer Kowalski, Dick DeBrozzi, Johnny Valentine, Haystacks Calhoun, and you know he was a big dude, and the Sheik, who feuded with Brazil over the course of several decades, with a variety of their matches being acclaimed bloody matchups. These and other rivals would all fall victim to Brazil's finishing maneuver, the Coco Butt, with the move also breaking racial barriers. Brazil also once wrestled Bill Meyer to a draw and challenged Bruno Sammartino for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship in a battle of two top babyface competitors. I really like Sammartino. On October 18, 1962, Brazil defeated Nature Boy Buddy Rogers by hitting him in the groin, causing Rogers to be unable to continue. Brazil refused the championship, and they met up a couple of weeks later, and Rogers won. At the time, the promoters were working a gimmick where the champion would be hit in the groin and the challenger wouldn't accept the title. The same scenario occurred in Toronto 2 weeks earlier with Bruno Sammartino and Rogers. Neither Brazil nor Sammartino were officially recognized by the NWA as having won the World Heavyweight Championship. This distinction is usually given to Ron Simmons, the first recognized African American world champion after winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. On October 9, 1970, Brazil and El Mongol defeated Mr. Ito and the Great Ota in the first racially mixed match in Atlanta history. Brazil served as a mentor to wrestler Soul Man Rocky Johnson, The Rock's father, and was inspirational to boxer Joe Louis. Brazil's manager was James Dudley, the first African American to be in charge of a major arena in the United States. Dudley would run to the ring, waving a towel as Brazil followed behind. Brazil retired in 1993 after a 4-decade career. His last official match was in Chicago, Illinois, against Kelly Kaninsky, son of rival Gene Kaninsky. Brazil was inducted into the WWF Hall of Fame class of 1994 by longtime rival Ernie Ladd. The following year, Brazil inducted Ladd into the WWF Hall of Fame. Harris had a wife and he had 6 children. And after retiring from wrestling, he ran a restaurant called BoBo's Grill, which lasted for more than 20 years. That's pretty cool. His son, Carl, born 1952, wrestles as BoBo Brazil Jr. in the independent circuit. His brother wrestled as Hank James. Harris died on January 20th, as I said earlier, 1998, at the Lakeland Medical Center in St. Joseph's, Michigan. He had been admitted to the hospital on January 14th and used a wheelchair after suffering a series of strokes. So let's talk about his championships and accomplishments, all right? So, Brazil won this is under the Big Time Wrestling Detroit, in Big Time Wrestling in Detroit. The NWA United States Heavyweight Championship, 9 times. The NWA World Tag Team Championship, 8 times. With Art Thomas 1 time, Bill Miller 1, Althol Layton 1, the Stomper 1 time, Tony Moreno 1 time, and Fred Curry. Also in Big Time Wrestling in San Francisco, he was the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship 1 time. Championship Wrestling from Florida, he was the NWA Florida Tag Team Championship. He won it twice, 2 times, with Sweet Brown Sugar and the one and only, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. So, in the Eastern Sports Association, he won the ESA North American Heavyweight Championship 1 time. In the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, he was inducted in the class of 2023. Japan Wrestling Association, the NWA International Heavyweight Championship, he won that twice. Maple Leaf Wrestling, which took place in the NWA Canada Open Tag Team Championship, 1 time with Whipper Milton Watson. The NWA, he was the NWA United States Heavyweight Champion. He won it 1 time. In Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, Championship Wrestling, he won the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship 1 time. The Midwest Wrestling Association in Ohio, he was the MWA Ohio Heavyweight Champion. He won that title one time. The MWA Ohio Tag Team Championship, he won it 3 times with Frankie Talbert. The NWA, or the National Wrestling Alliance, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the class of 2013. The NWA Hollywood Wrestling / Worldwide Wrestling Associates, he was the NWA America's Heavyweight Championship. He won that 3 times. He won NWA Beat the Champ Television Championship 1 time. Brazil won the NWA International Television Tag Team Championship 4 times with Wilbur Snyder, Sandor Thabu, Primo Carnera. He won the NWA Pacific Coast Heavyweight Championship 1 time. He won the World Heavyweight Championship 2 times. Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum, he was inducted in the television era class of 2008. Pro Wrestling Illustrated Editors Award, he was awarded that in 1998. The Superstars of Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, he won 1 time. World Wrestling Association down in Indianapolis, he won that championship 2 times. He was the WWA, won the WWA World Tag Team Championship 1 time with Chris Carter. And in the World Wrestling Federation / Worldwide Wrestling Federation / World Wrestling Federation, now known as World Wrestling Entertainment, he won the WWF United States Heavyweight Championship 7 times. And he was inducted into the class of the WWF Hall of Fame in 1994. The Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame, he was inducted in that class of 1996. And 1 other championship he won twice, the World Negro Heavyweight Championship title. There you have it. BoBo Brazil, Trailblazer. Never be forgotten. You can't forget those who paved the way for you. For Black Wrestling News, I'm Todd Tanner.